my name is Tomasz Krasensky, and I wish you a beautiful day from uni-max. Recently, I answered a question about what I will be making in the near future. I encountered some trouble because apparently, no one will make something that can be bought for 350 CZK. I am looking for it. What can I say about that? It is reasonable to understand that items produced industrially in large series are cheaper than handmade products, except for educational purposes. However, one could say that with this approach, we would do nothing but consume and wait for death. We tend to view woodworking through the lens of socialist scarcity of goods, meaning the necessity to create things that central planning has forgotten. In a market economy, however, supply usually exceeds demand. So woodworking is not a necessity, but rather a hobby, and every hobby costs something. Unlike many other hobbies, this one provides satisfaction not only to ourselves, but often brings joy to someone else as well, especially when we create or repair something. But back to the question. I will be making steps, a small stool, or whatever you want to call it, which the most well-known furniture store sells for 350 CZK. So this is the cheaper version made from raw birch. The lacquered version made from aspen wood costs 500 CZK, which is the same price that the model made from hardwood cost a few years ago. Under the layer of lacquer, I can no longer tell exactly what type of wood it is, but just by the weight, it is clear that it is neither aspen nor birch, which according to information on the website weigh between 3 to 4 kilograms. However, it also withstood being outdoors, serving as steps for the trampoline, at that time still without a protective finish. While large manufacturers or traders have a logical tendency to save costs, we will definitely not skimp on ourselves. We will make a similar stool from oak. We do not have to deal with compactness during transport and sale, so we will not make a compromise in the form of disassemblable joints, and we will not use a piece of steel either. I remind you that we will not be making the stool to save money, but for joy. At the same time, I doubt that people would make anything exactly according to instructions, plans, or videos. It's more of an opportunity to observe some technique or idea that might come in handy for another project. Enough with the philosophy, let's get to work. For the stool, you need beams with a cross-section of 30 by 40 mm. I made them a bit thicker. From these, I created the frame. The laminated board for the steps can be thinner. The original is approximately 25 millimeters, or a sole, inch, or if you prefer, a foot. I cut the blocks from old planks that had already seen better days, but for these purposes, they proved to be a source of quality and inexpensive material. If, like me, you will be working with some older lumber, you will need a jointer and a thickness planer, commonly known as a hopawka and a protohovaka. I always started from one of the edges that I squared, and then I cut strips with a width of 42 millimeters from it. I made semi-finished products to their final dimensions. To ensure the best surface quality, I had my knives sharpened. It cost me 180 CZK, and the result is worth it. A device helped me with the alignment of the knives, which uses a magnet and fine adjustments to monitor the parallelism of the blade with the cylinder. No vertical part is upright. With the pad, it forms an angle of 5 degrees in both axes. This display increases the stability of the stool. Crosscuts at an angle are easiest to make on a miter saw. Both the miter and bevel must be set to 5 degrees. Of course, this can also be done on a machine saw, where we set the tilt of the blade and the angle guide at 5 degrees. This way, all the verticals are cut. The horizontal rails are simply beveled at the ends, but the top edge must be planed at a 5-degree angle so that the adjoining parts fit together, and also to create a flat surface for gluing the scales after the frame is assembled. The original is lacking in this regard because the scales are screwed, so the contact surface doesn't matter as much. I joined the individual parts of the frame using dowels and glue. For doweling, I used a very simple jig that ensures the alignment of the joined parts. The 4-category glue allows for the use of the step stool in humid conditions and potentially outdoors. When gluing, silicone products from Rockler came into play, which uni-max has newly added to its range. Removing the cured glue from a non-stick pad or from the brush is then a breeze. First, the side frames are glued together. The parts are then joined together with spacers. After the glue has dried, I rounded all the pieces using a router. And finally, he sanded the frame. So let's move on to the scales. I glued the remaining strips into a panel. Due to the small dimensions, I used screw clamps. When I work on a larger panel in a future project, I will be happy to introduce you to special clamps for panels directly from uni-max's production. I plane the panels with a thickness planer and trim them to the final dimensions. In the smaller scale, I made the cuts. A bandsaw is ideal for this, but a jigsaw or a table saw can also be used effectively. And of course, the classic hand saw. It is ideal to cut at an angle of 5 degrees again, so that everything fits perfectly together. I rounded the edges again with a router. I also used it to create a hole in the top scale. A template that I made in the past came in handy for that. Using a copy ring and spiral router, I can easily cut the same holes for a comfortable grip, whether in different boxes or in jigs for the workshop. Then, final sanding follows again. For connecting the top scale to the frame, I also chose dowels, but not so much for strength as for positioning during gluing. The lower scale is naturally defined by the cutouts. The steps are essentially finished. It is up to you whether and how you treat the wood. It can remain completely natural indoors, but I would recommend at least some oil or wax even there. Regarding production, I recommend thinking a bit economically, because once you have the machine set up, it pays off to cut the material for another stool right away. In the description below the video, you will find links to the products I used in the making. I believe the latter will bring joy in 2 ways, during its creation and while using it. So may it serve you or someone else. Wishing you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you at the next project from uni-max. Oh, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.